Okay, so welcome to podcast number 12. It is a Tuesday, December 20th, 2022. So 5 more days. I still got 2 presents coming. And then I'm done Christmas shopping. Well, done. I'm done Christmas shopping. I gotta wrap them. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to this Christmas, going to Christmas party. I got someone some epic presents, which I'm definitely looking forward to giving. Pretty much all the presents I got are epic. I sent my kids in Germany some pretty epic presents. Hopefully they'll like them. I really hope they like them. This is my first Christmas away from my family. It's bittersweet. Bittersweet. So, it's just part of going through a divorce and separating. Is being apart from the family. How do I deal with it? I don't know. It is what it is. But I'll be with my parents this Christmas, which is pretty good. I got them epic presents. Yeah. Slow rolling, trying to get into the swing of this podcast. So, yesterday, Monday, I committed to my keto diet, and I was asked to go to Sanford while someone gets their fast pass for the airport. The TSA, they can bypass the TSA inspection. And we're supposed to go to a German restaurant. First off, 20 years of eating German food. I was never too impressed with German food in Germany. I liked, I'm drawing a blank. Schäufele, but that's regional. It's shoulder blade. It means spade, baby shovel. And it's the shoulder blade of pork. I like Wiener Schnitzel, but that's schnitzel made in the style of Vienna, Austria, which is not Germany. Yeah, that's about it. 20 years there and was never too impressed with the food. The YouTubers, there's a lot of YouTubers, people move to Germany from the States, and they would say the food is more impressive, and I just wanted to reach to the screen like Bill Cosby in the movie where he became a ghost and scared the crap out of them. They're wrong. They're wrong. They're wrong. Those expats are just full of lies from Satan and delusion. What it is, because America has all the same food as Germany, Spain, Italy, England. There's Irish butter here now. Everything from the whole world is available in America. There's Dominican Republican rum. There's probably everything but actual Cuban product. But there are actual Cubans that live in America, so you can buy Cuban sandwiches made by Cubans the right way. It's my second favorite sandwich in America is a Cuban sandwich. First is Reuben, but Reuben kind of, the salt, I'm very afraid of reporting to the VA MOVE program that's helping me with my weight loss if I eat a Reuben sandwich, because I'm told to avoid hypertension. But the Cuban sandwich is available. Cigars from everywhere but Cuba. These people, what they've done is they come from parts of America that aren't as amazing as Orlando, where everything is just available at all times, at all places, landed convenience, multiple cultures, multiple nationalities. There's I was told there's a Moroccan community here. I know there's an African community here. There's a Russian community here. And you can buy all their products here. You just have to meet them and they tell you where to go. And there's Aldi here, so Germany, to German products, like I got German Christmas cookies, and they have Lebkuchen here in America, the Glühwein here in America. The car shopping. I live in Lake Nona. I see every single day. I see Porsches, Mercedes, BMW, and Volkswagen here in America. There's a Porsche factory in Atlanta that I saw a few weeks ago when I was there. I've been told that the BMW X series is made in the States. And so these people that move to Germany and say Germany is superior, they're coming from, I don't know, podunk towns in the middle of nowhere where all you have is Walmart. But even Walmart has literally everything. Like our Walmart in Lake Nona has everything. So what they're doing is, for the first time in their life, they're eating vegetables. Because you go into Aldi in Germany, you find vegetables. So they must have only been eating processed foods in the States and feeling sick, and now that they moved to Germany, they are finding vegetables and non-processed food. Because the stores are smaller. But as far as being in Germany, it's superior in food options, and like they have some magical food option. We brought 36,000 Nazis under Operation Paperclip to Orlando in, I think, the late 40s, early 50s, right after World War II. And now, they're not Nazis, they're just Germans, but there's a Siemens factory here in Orlando. I went to the VA and had a bone scan, and my bone scan was done by a Siemens scanning machine. We have it all. Like, we, as Americans, have embraced the other cultures and their products and build them, open their factories here and sell their products here and invite them to live here and eat what they eat. So delusion upon delusion by the expat community of YouTubers. Like one guy said, he thinks even the microwave, the prepackaged pizza in Germany tastes better. But along with this comes some form of anti-American sentiment. And I don't think they're anti-American in heart. I think they're, first off, delusional. Second, no experience in life. This is the first time out of the country, and it's nice to live. Like I haven't driven a car in 20 years, and in Germany you didn't need one. You just use taxi, train, or tram, trolley, the S-Bahn, and also the underground railroad thing. So there's that convenience, but it comes at a cost. You pay money, and they say free health insurance, but it's not true. You have to have health insurance in Germany. It's not free health insurance. It's a lie. You pay for health insurance up usually around 500 euros a month. So they go there, and I don't know what they create their YouTube channels, and they start talking about the superiority of the German system. And I just think that they haven't experienced America, and they haven't experienced other countries, and they haven't been anywhere but some small town with nothing to do and limited shopping options. But definitely there's more groceries, more fruits and vegetables, more wine selection, more beer selection. You can buy German beer in America pretty much anywhere you want to go. It used to frustrate me. I always wanted to comment and be like, you're just wrong. You're just heinously wrong. But when I was a bartender for 14 years, I met the expats that were in love with their experience, and they thought they were unique and the only ones, and God's gift to the German economy, and God's gift to informing other foreigners about how to live in Germany. And I just went silent. Just radio silence. No interaction. Just yes them to death and let them leave was the policy of the day. And they would I worked with the Irish, and there's 4 million Irish in Ireland and 50 million Irish passport holders. And I read something like 20 or 25% of Americans have Irish heritage. I have Irish heritage, but I don't go around saying I'm Irish. These people would come and pester the Irish like it was their job, like they were paid to. And they go, "Are you Irish?" And without fail, "Are you Irish?" And Most of them would say, no, but he is, and point at me. And I would ignore them. I would just go silent. Not talk to them. And or walk away. And they would say, no, he can't be Irish. He's not Irish. He's Irish. And they would look at him. Look at the head on him. And the Irish people would say, by the head on you, I thought you were from county whatever. Because I have freckles and green eyes. And I was thinner. And so when I was working in the Irish pub, the Irish thought I was Irish. But I didn't look Irish enough for the Americans with Irish heritage. They wanted red hair, lots of freckles, and they would quote, there's a cereal here in America, Lucky Charms. They would quote the Lucky Charms commercial and put on that Irish accent, which sounds nothing like an Irish accent. And bane of the Irish existence, are you Irish? They get that question in Ireland from Americans looking for their heritage. So that type of expat trying to connect with their roots, but then there's ones they become bloggers and YouTubers, and then they buy a product like Celsius here that I got at Aldi, and they talk about how amazing it is and how they just discovered it, but they talk about it like it's Germany's best kept secret, and they're the first person to ever have it, and it's very bizarre. I like listening to and watching people talk about Germany because my kids are German. My soon-to-be ex-wife is German, and I lived there for 20 years. So, sort of a self-loathing. I'll watch it, and I'll go, I like this, I like that, I like that. And then they'll say something like, this is superior to America. And they're wrong. They're wrong. Now, if they said the Autobahn is superior to American roads, I can't argue that. That's, I agree. But when they say grocery shopping at Walmart is not as good as grocery shopping at Aldi or Lidl, you have less options. You have less options. And they say the food is better. It's discounter food. Germans don't go to Aldi because they would rather go to Rewe. But these people don't talk to Germans and find that kind of stuff out. That I like Aldi. My family lived off of it for 20 years, and it's cheap. It's cheaper than the Rewe or Lidl. Well, Lidl's pretty close, but you can get high quality food there, good price, and decent selection. The best wine I've ever had came from Aldi. It was a Rothschild's it didn't have a label, it just said red. Rothschild's red wine, and it was temporary. Very, very good wine. Best wine I ever had. So I'm not knocking Aldi, but I am knocking the delusional YouTubers, German expats, that say things are superior. They're just their access to data on reality is skewed by cognizant bias towards their experience in Europe. And maybe they have family members that are like, why would you ever leave America? Like one guy, I was writing with him a bit. I commented on his videos and stuff, and I asked him why he would leave America, and he was more leaning toward democratic policies than I would, and he believed us better there. But you get double taxation. You don't have to pay double taxes unless you make $170,000 a year. But you file your taxes twice. So if you make 80,000 euros, you're paying double taxes. And if you're single, you're paying 46% income tax in Germany. And if you belong to a religion, you're paying an extra 10% tax for your faith. And yes, you get medical pretty fast, but it's not superior medicine. America has probably the best medical procedures in the world with the worst way of paying for it. That's how it's been explained to me by reasonable people. People that have lived in both countries and as wealthy people. And they would live 9 months out of the year in America, go back to Germany for 90 days because they could afford property, and they'd get all their medical done in Germany, not for free. They would say it's not free. That's a lie. But cheaper, more affordably. But we have in America, we have the German technology, starting with the rockets. We took all of their technology, their rocket technology, right after World War II, under Operation Paperclip, and we've been embracing it ever since. Now we produce their cars, we produce their grocery stores, we produce their medical supplies, we produce their telecommunications supplies, and the train in Florida was supposed to be created by Siemens, which is operating in Florida. So when these people say everything's better in Germany, they haven't been to parts of America. They're from flyover states. What Americans say, let's travel. Okay, but we'll just fly over that state because there's nothing there. That's where they're from. One guy was from Texas, and I don't think Texas is a flyover state. I'm sure Siemens is in Texas. I'm sure Aldi is in Texas. And I'm sure in those rich cities, they drive Mercedes, Porsches, BMWs, and Volkswagens, and Audis. And we've had German technology in America for decades upon decades. So these are just blind people that want to go see castles and tell their family to probably justify to their family who are like, why would you leave? Why would you leave if it's not for a career? That was the other thing. Another reason I wouldn't communicate with those specific type of Americans. Like the Irish guy I got along with best. He came over to Germany with the reason for school, for education, because the area he grew up in Ireland didn't offer a school that was as affordable. So he came to Germany as a student and got a girl pregnant and had a kid. And then turned out they separated, and he stayed in Germany for his kid. And when I met my wife, she asked me to stay in Germany because she didn't want to move to America. She loves her country. And so that's what I did. I stayed for a relationship. He stayed for a relationship. We were both asked, essentially, to remain in that country. I preferred moving back to the States. But there are people, they just pack up one day and decide to move to another country. And they are strange. They're not traveling. They're not moving there for work. They're not there for family. And so they come up with idealist notions of grandeur, and just not my personality type. Not something I like at all. Yeah, that was a rant. But I shake my head every single time I hear that the food selection in Germany is better. I'm going to a German restaurant today. I went to a German grocery store on Sunday, so 2 days ago. Right across the street, it's a German car. I'm saving up to buy a Volkswagen because it's cheap and a high quality car. And I live in Orlando. My medical at the VA hospital has German technology. When I go to made by Siemens, which is here in Orlando, and when I go to Walt Disney World about 4 times a month, I usually buy something at least once a month to send to my kids, or pack in a suitcase and take to my kids that live in Germany. But the plastic bags at Walt Disney World that the merchandise is made in, put in, is made in Germany. So ignorant YouTubers giving advice about Germany and its superiority and accessibility to product and stuff like, oh, you can never get this in the States. No, you've been in the wrong part of America, the kind of America where Americans go, let's fly over that city and not interact with those people or visit their town. And rather than seeing the rest of your country, you leave your country and then badmouth your country out of ignorance. Very passionate about that. Having been a bartender for 14 years, people's, like Germans, would say to me, "Ich schäme mich wegen der Deutsche." I'm embarrassed. I shame myself because of the Germans. And Irish would ask me, "Aren't you embarrassed to be American?" After meeting that person, I would say, no. There's something called American individualism, where you're responsible for your actions, and that is a dumb, stupid human being. Openly ignorant. And you can't correct that. It's not embarrassing to be American. It's awesome. But America does export some of the dumbest, most ignorant, arrogant people I have ever met in my life. I will concede to that. But they're individuals, and they're doing things individually. The rugged individualism is not dead in America, which is a good thing. And you can be as stupid as you want, which is awesome. But we export it in by the thousands. By the thousands. Go to a theme restaurant, work there, and speak English. You will meet them. You will meet them. They're super friendly, polite, cordial, just uninformed. Uninformed and inexperienced, and unfortunately believe that they're right about everything. Which is leading into my next point. But Germans are not immune to this. When I first started living in Germany, I noticed everybody's English was more grammatically correct than mine. They do speak a superior form of English when they speak it. When they feel comfortable speaking English, it is divine. It is inspiring. It's amazing. It's so grammatically pure. So like the way English was meant to be. But that's because they study Oxford English. And I've met somebody that studied in Oxford, and I've met a few people from Oxford, England, and the German English speakers speak with that level of tenacity, intellect, clarity of thought. They're very good at it. When they speak English, it's very clear, concise. Klar und deutlich. Clear and concise. And impressive to listen to. So, most Germans, most of them that are sane, that haven't worked in the Irish bar for 14 years and a few years at a private security firm at nightclubs, I can say not all Germans are sane. Just not sane. Just mad as hatters. Nutters. Total nut jobs. But intellectual, or they have the capacity to retain information, like data from Star Trek, or what was it, the Vulcan, Mr. Spock. Very, very smart, very well spoken, very well dressed. Bizarre. Where you're like, what am I dealing with? Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory does them a disservice because he's a nerd that plays a geek. What I'm talking about is nerds. They would never wear comic book t-shirts or play video games. They're like Frasier, from the TV show Frasier. But Frasier does those nerds a disservice. They're just, oh my goodness. You have to experience it to understand. So sometimes my coworkers would come over and be like, This guy was grand. He was totally sound. What's going on? I'd say he's probably a German engineer. And they would say, it's just Jerry or what? And or they would call him a hatter. I mean, he probably got mercury in his bloodstream and went crazy at work, or who knows. But I experienced a lot of those people, especially at the private security, where they didn't think that you were watching. Sober people watching non-sober, and it's not a matter of being drunk or sober. It was a battle of sane versus insane. And I worked with a crazy guy named Laba Laba, because he labbed. He never stopped talking, and that's how I learned German. This guy I would work 17 hours a day for 6 days a week, and Laba Laba would just talk. And he was crazy. He was like me. He'd be like, "Obacht, there's gonna be it. Watch out." He's like me. He's exactly as I am. And by that he meant crazy. Bescheuert, verrückt, bekloppt. So, not pertaining to that subject, I wasn't looking out for it, but having spent many hours of many days, of many moons, of many years, of my months, weeks, and decades of my life around in jobs, around crazy people, and being forced to like them, interact with them, become friends with them, talk to them when no one else would, as a security guard, or just be trapped with them as a bartender. I can identify with them, and I don't hate them. I don't always understand them, and I don't really agree with them ever. But I can yes them to death, and I can be not empathetic, but empathetic, but like some Germans would say, "Du bist sehr empathisch." You're very empathetic, and that meant thanks for tolerating my crazy brother for 5 hours when I went shopping. So I like watching people on YouTube that remind me of those type of people. Like I don't want to shame those people, but they come up with crazy things to say that I know is not correct or right, but they say them anyways, and they wholeheartedly believe what they say. Like I have PTSD and schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenia, but I take medication for it. So like sometimes I'll have thoughts in my head, but I'm always aware that it's not the right thing. So I do identify with the crazy, because I am kind of crazy. But the difference is I don't tell people, "Oh, I'm having these thoughts," or I don't act on them. I take my medication. And I speak to the psychiatrist, and I let them know and they'll say, well, we need to do blood work or adjust your medication or stuff like that. And I live in the world of reality, and don't adhere to the madness that these people are attracted to. But I'm attracted to what they're attracted to, because it's like watching the CW. If you watch the CW, I forget what it stands for. The CW shows were on Netflix. So if you watch Smallville, you learn about Clark Kent before he was Superman, no cape, no fly. Then that goes into Aquaman and The Flash, and then now, like 15 years later, you can watch The Flash and Arrow, and that's characters from Smallville. So the whole DC universe, it takes 15 years of seasons of TV shows to get the whole backstory to Superman and Aquaman. It's very nerdy stuff. Like, I'm a Disney dork. I like Disney and all things Disney, but I understand why they went with Marvel. And Marvel's the same way, but they're mass producing more easily explained stories about those superheroes. And then there's Star Wars. You can't really appreciate Pirates of the Caribbean without having been on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride before the movies at Walt Disney World. You can, but there's people that they remember everything original from before. They remember where the stories were inspired from. It's like telephones. My grandmother had one of those old rotary dial phones that we'd use, and it rang real loud, and it made noises when you turn the dials. Then I remember my friend's dad had a car phone when they came out, and the thing was the size of my forearm. And then flip phones. Then everybody had Blackberries. Then there was a whole procession. Now I have a Google 7, not a Pro, but a Google 7, and the thing is just phenomenal. But it's the same with music. When I was a kid, I inherited a bunch of records, so I had to buy a record player. So I had records, and then I heard stories about 8 tracks and saw them in movies. And then I graduated from records to cassette tapes. Then I bought CDs, and then bought a CD. I had a CD player that said it would never skip. The thing skipped all the time. It was the greatest lie of my childhood. Then went from that to mini disc player. I bought a bunch of mini discs and recorded music forever on my mini disc player. That went out of style. Then I bought a iPod, but you don't need an iPod anymore because my Amazon Alexa will play any music I want, or I can play Spotify on my Android phone, and that's it takes time. What I'm saying, when someone says something crazy, you have to be familiar with their backstory of what they're talking about. And what I'm talking about is conspiracy theorists, cultural differences. I'm not talking about the sane. I'm talking about the insane. So, people that remind me of working with the insane was Rob Skiba. I loved listening to Rob Skiba. I don't believe the Earth is flat, but I liked listening to Rob Skiba try to prove that the Earth is flat, that NASA didn't go to the moon. What else did he do? Talked about the Nephilim, the sons of God who entered into the daughters of men and took whatever wives they wanted, and how they bred a different species on Earth, and their ancient antediluvian technology. Now, all of this, if you hear me say it, and you're like, that's crazy. But Rob explained it in story form, and was passionate. He was a dynamic speaker, hyper intellectual, total believer in his faith, completely convinced of what he was saying, and retained information like none other. There were what I believe to be alternative facts, factually accurate, truthfully wrong, and that's what I meant when I worked at the bar and security in Europe for about 16 years. Was factually accurate, truthfully wrong, alternative fact based, crazy people. And I don't interact with those kind of people anymore very much nowadays, now that I've changed where I live and how I generate an income and all of that comes with changing your lifestyle. But yesterday I was watching TruNews, and I was shocked that TruNews is back on YouTube, because he was the pastor Rick Wiles was banished from YouTube for, they said, saying anti-Semitic things. I don't think he's anti-Semitic. I think he's crazy. And he took the side of Palestine versus Israel, and was speaking out against Israelis. But I think that he's a antagonist. He'll do things that not everybody agrees with, that the majority disagrees with, to get a reaction, because he's an attention whore. He's gotta be right, like his manservant. That's what Doc Burkhart is. His yes man. That's what Doc Burkhart is. Doc Burkhart will agree with him, or when they disagree, fall silent and go, "Oh yes, Pastor." I was shocked that he's back on, so I tried watching him yesterday, and then I got annoyed because I haven't been around that kind of personality in a few years. He said, I mean, there's a reason that he was banned from television. PayPal banned his access. People were donating to him over PayPal, PayPal cut that account, blocked that account, and he's banned from YouTube for saying things not just controversial, wrong. And I'm not talking about Palestine and Israel. I'm not familiar enough with the subject, and I don't. It's not the sort of thing I want to talk about. He just said bizarre stuff. So he was upset yesterday. I think his podcast was from yesterday. His news. And he was talking about how. First, he was talking about how he's the only person talking about World War III. You heard it here, folks. As a TruNews exclusive, we're the only corporate news company in the whole world talking about the advent of World War III and how it's going to happen, which is fantastic. Just, I love it. That level of paranoia. And being convinced that you're correct, right, and on God's side of the data because you believe it. There's a reason nobody's talking about World War III, because it's not going to happen. It's not happening anytime soon, and it's not happening now. But he got deeply upset when he recalled this, that he was being aired on a Christian station, which I don't know. I don't think I would have aired him in the first place if I was a decision maker. But he was being aired on a Christian station, and he said that by this Christmas we'll be in a nuclear war with Russia. That Russia will bomb us. He has a wet dream. Hitler's wet dream was to be Caesar in Nuremberg, to reign from the Third Empire and reign from Nuremberg. And it was something that he was obsessed with. He brought to fruition, and he went through the diet, went through the imperial diets. Rick Wiles has the same level of passion. Germans don't speak passionately that often. They Leidenschaft. That's just too viel Leidenschaft. That's too much passion when someone gets excited. And Rick Wiles' passion is the obliteration of America. He's not anti-patriotic. He's just, when I got out of basic training in the Army, my parents took me to church, and a youth pastor pulled me to the side and said, "When America falls," and I was like, "When America falls," because I didn't join because of 9/11 and the Twin Towers going down, but he was convinced America was going to fall. Police in Florida were recruiting pastors to administer trauma aid when they investigated, which I wholeheartedly disagree with. Separation of church and state, and 90% of pastors are playing fairy tales, make believe. They're playing make believe fairy tales that they believe, and to give them that much authority, it's just insane. That's I understand how the Nazi uniforms worked, because I came straight from war to working in a German security firm, and the Germans would put on their uniform It was a black jeans, black shirt, and black jacket, black bomber jacket for the security uniform, and they would feel powerful. And I was like, about 4 months ago, I was carrying a gun and a rifle. I had a rocket launcher. This was not power. This is a bomber jacket. But they got all excited, and that's what these pastors. This pastor, he was given the position of authority from people in authority, and it went straight to his head. And the importance and the significance, and America's going to go down. And I was like, this is some anti-American garbage that he was spewing. And he was like, they're gonna need you to step up as a man of God. He actually kind of spoke like that. He had short man syndrome. Grew a big goatee, shaved his head, and walked like he was carrying TVs in his arms. He's still a pastor here in Florida, and I spy on him on Instagram from time to time. But he had this great hope that America does get demolished, because he was like, the souls that we can harvest. He even talks like this, and then I just yesed him to death, and haven't spoken to him since. It's been over 20 years. He's a crazy person. Like Rick Wiles, crazy person. Rick Wiles had claimed the fame as he had a vision of America in fire, flames, and under total destruction because of his sinfulness. America's awesome. There's tons of Christians in America. There's tons of people that do the right thing. The church is not a harlot, like he said in his latest video. If he wasn't speaking about Jesus and practicing sobriety, he's dork, he's a nerd, he's a geek, and he's a facts-based individual that's hyper intelligent, and seems to have the capacity of reason. Doesn't have reason, doesn't have the ability to reason, because he believes he's right all the time, and he surrounds himself with people that agree with him, which if I was around him I would agree with him, because I want to hear the next level of bullshit coming out of his mouth, his verbal diarrhea. It would entertain me. But he's wrong, because he's crazy. And he was very upset that this church had let him go, this Christian television organization had let him go. And he started talking about when he gets to heaven, he wants to have those people be held accountable by the judgment seat of God for letting a pastor go. First off, he's a pastor. He's not a first responder. There's no mission barbecue dedicated to serving him brisket and for his service. He's a pastor. And pastors tend to be fallible. And he's like a grand poobah of fallibility. He's lost a large American Jewish audience because he says things that sound hateful and that are factually incorrect. He lost access to YouTube for 2 years because he said things that sounded horrible and were not right. And he lost access to PayPal. But I'm sure he believes that he's doing everything and he's on God's side of righteousness. But I hate to break it to you, buddy. Jesus hung out with uneducated people and the outcasts of society, and was deeply irritated by college boys and educated members of the religious order, and would have probably beaten you if you were working at the temple. Jesus would probably have whipped Rick Wiles if he was working at the temple. So Jesus liked to get away from the crowd. So I do hope it happens in heaven, and I hope I'm a witness to this, or that there's like instant replay and you can watch it again. I want to see Rick Wiles holding a reasonable Christian television organization to the fire for judgment for having betrayed a pastor, for saying that Russia is going to bomb America with nukes by Christmas. And I want to see the footage of Jesus just walking away, fleeing the crowd, or making a switch to whip him for being stupid. I don't think it's going to go over like he thinks it's going to go over. He's not winning souls for Christ. He's fear-mongering. So I love it. I love the insanity, but it's insane. And he definitely, if he wasn't into Christianity, he would be a total madman. And if he drank, he'd be a total madman, spewing off bizarre, esoteric garbage or anti-government garbage in some form or other in a bar or at a restaurant, which I'm sure he does. But he has this religious aspect to it, which is insane. So that's my take on TruNews and Rick Wiles. I think he's a crazy person, but I will continue to watch him. I feel morally and ethically compromised because he has been barred before in watching him. But what the reason I started watching TruNews a few years ago was Edward Zoll is a journalist that's on there, and he was a veteran, so I was like, okay, I'm a veteran, he's a veteran, I'll watch this veteran be a journalist. And then I was always like, he talks about weird topics, but his boss is insane and power hungry, so maybe he just has to yes his boss to death and take topics that are crazy and talk about them. But so I looked and I saw that he wasn't on TruNews anymore, and I googled Edward Zoll, then I googled Edward Zoll fired, and I found a forum that said that he was terminated for allowing a member of Antifa in. The forum wasn't very clear, so I guess he was fired from TruNews, and I found out that he is now a journalist for a website called Crosstalk, I think, Cross something. And he does a Bible study, but not on YouTube and not on Rumble, on cozy.tv. I'm not signing up for any more websites. But So I YouTubed his name and found footage of him talking about how he's a Christian nationalist. So I'm not a Christian nationalist. In no way, shape, or form. So I'm not going to put that information in my head. I was disappointed. And he said some other bizarre stuff. So, yeah. Well, it's been an hour and 5 minutes. There's more I'd like to talk about. Sorry for starting off slow. Please tune in again.